Hey viewers, my name's Kara, and I'm on this side of the frame today because of this, and I'll get there in a second. Hey, what's up? I can't even believe it's the end of November already. This year has flown by overall. I feel like individual days and weeks and months definitely felt like they were dragging, but once they're over, it's like we blinked and nothing happened. And a lot of things happened, but it feels like nothing happened, right? Like, is that just me? No, like it went so fast, what possibly could have happened. And that's why I do things like at the end of the year, I do a year in review video. So that'll be really fun this year, just trying to figure out what the heck actually happened, especially since I took that hiatus for like 4 months. So yeah, I'm here now just doing an end of the month kind of update for you. And I have a list, so I have my dry erase marker. If I'm fiddling with it, that's why I have my dry erase list right in front of me, so I can try to keep on track. I have some news and announcements type things, and then also kind of a mini topic. So yeah, first thing on my list is just, if you also watch the Pagan Perspective collab channel, we recently talked about collecting pagan items. Somebody asked us about, there are people who have collections of pagan stuff because they want to collect things that are related to their path. And so the question was, do we, the members of the Pagan Perspective collab team, do we have any collections of pagan stuff that we collect and have around as a collection, or do we see them as just things that help us in our paths? And so I talked about some things that I feel like I do collect, and one of those things was books. Specifically, I talked about John Green books, and at the time I listed all the John Green books that I have, which is not all of them and does not include his newest released novel, Turtles All the Way Down, which I have read, but I checked it out from the library, so I haven't bought my own copy yet. But at the time I made that video a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, I was missing one of the other books that has been out for a long time, which is Will Grayson. And I now have a copy of it because I went to my local thrift store and they had this wonderful paperback copy that is not marked up and not damaged. And yeah, I read this book years ago because I got it from the library, but I had not been able to find a copy at a secondhand bookstore or anything like that. So this past time I was at the thrift store, I looked through the books, not really expecting to find anything, and right there, saw, boom, holographic cover. So yeah, so now I have everything. Oh my gosh, get back in there. Okay, now I have everything that John Green has published, I think, except Let It Snow, which was written with 2 other authors. This one was written with David Levithan, I think. Levithan might be how you pronounce his name. Yeah, and I've read Turtles All the Way Down. I have not even read Let It Snow, but now I have everything else. So I have my 2 copies of The Fault in Our Stars, Will Grayson, Paper Towns, 2 copies of Looking Alaska, and An Abundance of Catherines. Of course, right next to Binge by Tyler Oakley, and Ransom Riggs' Miss Peregrine's, which I do not have the 3rd one yet. So that's why I was doing this video in this location, because if you watched that video, I got it now. Cool. It was like 80 cents because it was the thrift store and it was 50% off day, and she rang up the original price as like less than $2. So cool. All right, that's the first thing on the list. This weekend, I have some errands to run. So one of the things, the 3rd announcement on this list is actually about my Etsy, and the 2nd announcement goes along with that because I was going to say, I've got this stuff that's going to be coming up on Etsy, and I'm still going to talk about that in a second, but it might not come up by the 1st of December, which is tomorrow, which is when I wanted it to. It depends on what I get done today, but I might not end up posting the new things until the 2nd, which is Sunday, because tomorrow I have an errand to run. I have to go to the witchy shop in Bedford because last year, so 2017 winter solstice, my partner got me a gift certificate to the witchy shop in Cleveland. That is the one that I usually go to because they host Cleveland area pagan pride. So I typically go there at like that one time a year at the end of August when we go to pagan pride, which is in Bedford, Ohio. We go to Spirit Apothecary, which is now, this is another bit of news, is now Spirit Apotheosis, because recently, for some reason, I guess, the Ohio bureaucrats decided to catch up on stuff that they should have done forever ago, apparently, and it seems like they contacted all of the businesses in Ohio that have apothecary in their name and told them they have to change it. Because according to the Ohio Revised Code, you can't be called an apothecary unless you are licensed to have, like, basically like a medical, like a pharmacy, which is kind of where apothecary came from. But I think in layman's terms, or like in everyday discourse, when somebody says an apothecary, we think of it, in the United States at least, as like, oh, okay, so they have herbs, and they have stuff with herbs, and maybe they make things out of those herbs, but we don't think of them as being a pharmacy or a druggist or anything like that. However, I know of a few different businesses in my state that have had to change their name recently. So they've either changed to things like Apotheca with different spellings, or Spirit Apothecary changed to Spirit Apotheosis. So that's a bit of news there. But a lot of their stuff, a lot of logos, and business cards, obviously, this like just happened, so people haven't been able to change it on all their materials yet. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But I'm going there tomorrow because we have a gift certificate, as I said, that my partner got me last year, and it expires on December 31st of this year, which is really nice that they allow them to be good for an entire year. And I was going to bring it to Pagan Pride and spend it when we go there during Pride, as I always do at the end of August. But by the time we got to Pride, I realized I had forgotten it on a magnet on the refrigerator. So since then, I've pretty much been trying to find a time that my partner and I could go. So it has to be like a day that they have off, that the shop is open. So we're doing that this weekend. So I don't know for sure when I'll get to my Etsy stuff. Maybe I'll get to it today, but I'm trying to get a video up, get some exclusive stuff up for my patrons that have been waiting for stuff forever. So yeah, next thing on my list is my Etsy. My Etsy shop is cutewitch772, just like this username. And I've been working on stuff to go up on my Etsy shop, some things actually over the past year, and I always feel like if I don't get it posted by a certain time, which is the time that I wanted to get it posted, if it's a seasonal item especially, then I'm like, well, there's no use posting it now. It's past the season. I have to wait till next year. So there's some things that I really should be posting that I've been working on for like a year. But there's other things that I've been working on since September because I intended to have them up in October. I wanted to have a bunch of stuff posted in October for Samhain. However, I realized that once again I bit off more than I could chew, and I wanted to do a whole lot more with them. So I just kept taking more time with them. And now I've been working hours completing some of these things, and some of them are finally ready to post. So hopefully those should be going up this weekend, as I said, sometime at the beginning of December, hopefully, so that people can actually get them for holiday gifts. So I have, I'm even telling you, which is a big thing, because when I say it, then you know it's coming, and then if I don't put it up, then I look even worse, right? So I have been working on pendulums, which are something that I have not offered on my Etsy shop in years. So a lot of you, especially if you're newer viewers, might not have ever known that I ever did those. My mom and I used to do them a lot, and I think she might still offer some on her shop. I'm not sure. But we used to do a lot of that stuff when I still lived with my mom, when she still lived in Ohio before she moved. And yeah, so it's the first time in a long time that I found a bunch of stuff in my stash, right? As a crafty person, arts and craftsy person, I have a bunch of stuff. And I'm always picking up, like, if I find jewelry that's like a pair of earrings, but it's missing one of the earrings, so it's just one, but it's a really cool charm, I'll take it because I know I can use it and make it into something else, like a pendant or a pendulum handle. So I've been saving a lot of old necklaces, pendants, mismatched earrings, just bits and bobs that I've found throughout life, throughout the years. I've just been collecting them in a little container. And finally this year, like in September, I was inspired to finally get them out and start designing pendulums based around a theme. So all of them are made with a specific intention, and this is kind of what I was alluding to when I did my video about whether I bless my Etsy items. And I said that some of my items coming up that I would be talking about and posting were made with a specific intention. They do not have a spell cast on them, but they were made in sacred space, mindfully, with a specific intention in mind, and completely designed based around that theme of that energy. So I have 5 pendulums currently fully assembled and 8 more designed, but I have to put them together. So there's that. So I'll probably just post the first 5, and then you'll see the other 8 as they come out, which may not be this December, but I'll start with the ones that I have. And then the other thing I've been working on, drum roll please, is witchy boxes. However, when I say that, many different things can come to mind. These are not starter kit type boxes. They are not miniature altar type boxes. They do not have basic tools that a beginner witch would need, kind of thing. That's not what they are. I can possibly do things like that in the future if anyone is interested, but that is not what I was inspired and excited to do at this time. So what I did was I got some different boxes that are decorated already, and they're Halloween-y themed, because I got them around Halloween, and I love Halloween. And based on the design and the decoration of the box, I turned that into a theme and an intention for the box. So there are only 4 of them, so this is a very limited thing. 2 of them are the same theme, the other 2 are different. So there's 3 different themes altogether, but 4 boxes, because there's 2 of one of them. But all 4 of the boxes have different items. So the 2 that are the same theme do not have identical items. All 4 boxes do have some things in common. Like they all have a candle, they all have a crystal, they all have some herbs, they all have a piece of original miniature art done by me. They all have a couple different things. I can't think of it all now. I've been working on this for months, weeks and weeks and weeks. I just spent maybe 15 hours just typing up the explanation of everything that's in the box so that the person who gets them can read through it, and there's a little tour of everything that's there, what it is, why it's there, how it relates to the theme, how you can use it in magic. But yeah, so hopefully I sort of wrote it with people in mind that if they are sort of beginners or newer to certain things, it should maybe help you figure out what that's about, but it's not intended just for beginners, and it's not built up that way. It's just around this specific theme. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun putting them together, but it took a lot more time than I thought it would. Oh, they all have little crochet pouches that I made as well, because I do a lot of crocheting. So yeah, that's another thing that they all have in common, but they're all different. They all have different items. And then beyond those things that they all have in common, each box has its own unique things that are just for that box. And so yeah, you'll be seeing those things popping up on my Etsy very soon. But of course, I am leaving what is inside them specifically, other than those basic things I just said, I am leaving them a mystery. So they're kind of witchy mystery boxes. You'll just know what the theme is, and some of the basic items that are in it. Like, again, there is a candle, there are herbs, there is a crystal, there is 2 crochet pouches in each one. Yeah, but other than that, it's a mystery, so that'll be fun. Oh, and then the last announcement type thing I have, I can't even believe this has already taken 15 minutes, oh my gosh, is that the Pagan Perspective collab will be announcing a thing of its own very soon. So just pay attention to that if you are a viewer of the Pagan Perspective collab channel. Get ready for an announcement there as well. Cool. So next on my list is talking about video ideas, because obviously, like, trying to come up with a video to do for this last week of November was tough for me, because even though I have an ongoing list of video topics and a few topics and types of projects in video that I'm really excited to do soon, there's a lot of topics that I have envisioned the product, the video, in such a way that I need to have my editing software. I need to be able to put a picture up here, or I need to be able to put text on here, or I need to be able to cut different clips of video together, which I can't do right now. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing after the new year is I've decided to take the advice of some of my viewers and set up a crowdsourcing fundraiser for that, so that my partner and I can get all the new studio equipment stuff that we need. I need a new laptop, I need new editing software, we just need a new setup so that I can actually create the content that I want to create, and then because we'll have that setup, we can do more. So my partner and I are going to be collaborating on some things and some different types of content and different types of projects in the future. So just, again, just letting you know now, it's not happening right this second. It'll be after the new year. That's what we've decided would probably be best. I just want to let you know so you have some time to see this video throughout the next few weeks and just start thinking about it and just be aware that it's going to be a thing. But I have a lot of video ideas for right now that also are just like, I would like to have everything set up better because I want them to be very neat and clean. There's some things that are going to be in a series of things, like I mentioned on Pagan Perspective, or was it? No, my recent video on this channel about witchy things and stuff and tools and what kind of tools witches use or don't use and how it's very dependent on the person, and you can get a really expensive handmade one from an artist that you want to support, which is fantastic if you can do that. I definitely recommend supporting small businesses and supporting individual artists that you love and creators that you love. However, if you don't have the ability to do that, it's also not necessary to have really expensive items. So there are some everyday items that you can use, and I have a couple different projects actually in mind, some a little bit in progress already, for talking about that kind of thing. So I mentioned in my witchy things and stuff video, I'd like to do some videos coming up about my basic witchy altar tools, as we might call them, and what I have, what I use for them, if I use that tool or not, if I used to use it and now don't, if I used to not ever use one and now I'm feeling called to use it, stuff like that. But I didn't want to start that this week. That feels like something bigger that I'll work on over time. And another one is, people have started asking, all right, so it goes in cycles, right? So we talk about a lot of beginner basic questions, like on Pagan Perspective. We'll get a lot of beginner questions, and then we'll get some more advanced questions, and then even with my personal channel, I want to talk about some different things. I want to talk about like different types of topics, and then after a year or so, or maybe 6 months, it depends, then you kind of like come back around to like wanting to talk about those beginner type subjects again. So it's very circular. So I've started thinking about these types of things again. I've also been seeing people ask these types of things again about altars. Where do I put my altar? How do you make an altar? What is it? What goes on it? Do I need to have one? All of this kind of stuff. And I used to have a blog post about creating altars that asked a series of questions. It was basically questions that you as a person who were looking to create an altar could look at and answer for yourself. And in doing so, would give you some time to explore what do you really need out of an altar or a similar type of sacred space, personal space to do ritual work or meditation or devotional, whatever, and learning what the difference between those might be, at least what my perspective on the difference between those is. And that blog post does not exist anymore because it was on my Tumblr, and apparently when I didn't log into my Tumblr for a certain amount of time, they deleted it and everything's gone. So all the old links to that blog that was meant to help people no longer exist. So I've also been thinking about starting to write on my blog again, because there are a lot of things that, again, I'd like to do, I'd like to talk about, but I don't have the ability to edit videos currently. And there are some projects I'm working on that are heavily reliant on having images of the thing or putting up pictures that I've already taken as part of the project, because that's the way they have to work. And so I was thinking about doing some of them as a blog or a series of blog posts, and they would be rather big. So there's that. And now, just a little mini topic for you. My partner did suggest that for this last video of the month, I talk about kind of the seasonal struggle that I am definitely going through. I mean, let's be honest, I've been struggling this whole year. This isn't really any different, only now, because I live in the Northern Hemisphere in an area of the United States that gets snow, and we have all 4 seasons, supposedly, although some of them seem to last a lot longer than others, because autumn felt like 3 weeks, you know, maybe a month, barely. It's still kind of autumn now, but it has already started snowing, and it has already started getting dark really early. And that really heavily affects me and the way that I am able to work. You may recall, again, if you watch Pagan Perspective, a while ago, we talked about what makes a space and like what kind of a space do we personally like to have to do our work. And one of the major things that I talked about as being a feature of a space that I personally need in order to feel really connected to it and feel really able to work in that space is natural light. Even for this video right now, I have a light on that way, obviously, so that this video wasn't really dark. And it's not that late in the day. It's early afternoon. And it's just already really dark. And it's hard to get light in from some places, but that's why I'm pretty much always working. I always have my camera setups, and like my desk is always set up right next to a large window because I like to have natural light. And on these days where the natural light hours are so few, it is harder for me. It's harder for me to be comfortable working for long periods of time. I feel like I'm racing against the sun, and obviously I can turn on a light when it's dark and keep working, but it doesn't feel the same. It feels very different. I would much rather light candles when it's dark and work by candlelight, but sometimes that hurts your eyes, you know, so it depends on what I'm doing though. There are some things that I can do in really low light and not have a problem. There are some things that, like if I'm recording a video or if I'm taking photos especially, I like to do that in natural light. It's the easiest, it looks the best, I like it the most. So yeah. And for me, personally, I also tend to feel really cooped up because I don't really go a lot of places. I work from home, I just try to do my thing, and I don't like to drive if I don't have to. I've never been one of those people who just likes to go for a drive, and I like to, you know, I'm very mindful of my budget, of how much gasoline I'm using, and my car also right now needs a lot of little basic repairs so that like on a day like today, the snow has all melted that did arrive in the past week, so it's not actually that bad right now, but when the snow starts to fall, when it starts to get really icy and yucky and slushy, and especially if it's raining at all these days, my windshield wipers are awful. So when the weather is inclement, it's not safe for me to drive my car either. And I have a lot of anxiety about driving because I've had some really bad driving experiences in the snow in my area, which I know my Canadian friends are chuckling because they get more snow than we do anyway. But I've had some nights when the plow drivers go home early because it's a really big storm and they know they're just going to be doing it again every 30 seconds because the snow is just piling down. So there are some nights where they will turn in early and just get at it early in the morning, hopefully after the snow stops. And there have been times where I've been traveling home from a trip, from a workshop or something like that, out of state or just out of my area. When I come back to my area, which gets a lot of the lake effect snow from the lakes up north, it just dumps in certain areas. And if it's on a day when the plows went home early, trying to drive my car through 3 feet of snow and spinning out and ending up in ditches and having to get myself out because it's 3 a.m. because I'm traveling back at a dumb time, like, that's why I don't go places anymore, like, especially over the winter. My partner has a has a 4-wheel drive vehicle, so it's a little bit better. They just drive us everywhere. It's fine. So I tend to feel a little cooped up, and especially if I don't have natural light, it's like, oh my God. And I hate being cold, as you all know. I hate being cold. So I'm not one to just feel like, oh, let's go outside when it's freezing cold out. But I do, because I feel so cooped up and I feel like there's no energy, it's stagnant, it's stale, and I have to just go outside and see what's up in the outside world, get some fresh air, maybe watch some animals if they're scurrying about. I've seen a lot of blue jays recently, which is really nice. And I feel like, you know, like in my area, when you see the cardinal, like the red cardinal, that's the sign that spring is here. And lately I've been seeing so many blue jays, and now I'm feeling like, are blue jays an autumn bird? Or are they the sign that winter is here? Either way, they're beautiful. So I'm really happy to see so many of them lately. That has been nice. But yeah, it's really easy for me to feel cooped up and stale and stagnant, and I have to do something about it. I have to go outside, or I have to make time in my busy day with all my to-do lists and everything. I'm just doing stuff around the house. If I have to run errands or I have to do some chores or whatever, it's really easy for me to not make time to sit down and do videos, number one, but to sit down and center myself in my life and in my body. Like, what is happening with me and around me right now? I have no idea. I don't think I've made time to do that in months. And it's a problem. I'm not saying do it. I'm saying learn from my mistake, because it's really easy to not make the time. And I wanted to make time for it today, but again, I was like, ooh, but you gotta get this video up. So it'll be better if you do this video and put it up, and then you can go meditate and have some time to yourself. So that's the plan, because I have to wait while these things upload anyway before I can finalize them and everything. So I do have a block of time there. The hope is that I'll get that done, but I never know if I'm going to do that and then somebody's going to call me or something's going to happen. I'm going to have to take care of something. Like, I just never know. It's really easy not to make the time. We will never feel like we have the time, because that's how the world works. When we have the time, we fill it with things. So it's not about having the time, okay? We have the time. It's how we choose to prioritize the time and make time for the things that are important. And here's me telling you, I don't make the time enough these days. This year, as I said, has been a lot. And it's easy. It's easy to not make the time. So don't make my mistake. All right, yeah. Last thing I wanted to say is just the goodbyes. Just let you know. First of all, let me know in the comments how you're feeling this season. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere, you've got a totally different season going on. You might be really super excited to go outside, and that's fantastic. Let me know how you're feeling, how the seasons affect you, and if you have an easy time making time for yourself and your spiritual practice, all of the time, or if it ebbs and flows, waxes and wanes with the cycles, as we all do, or yeah, just what you got going on in that regard. And then I just wanted to let everyone know, as always, you can find me on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/cutewitch772, which I do still use, although I know it doesn't look like it because I don't post on there very much. And what I need to do there is I have to find the niche of what that Facebook page is for. Like, what am I really going to share there that is unique from, obviously I do videos here, so I could link them all on my Facebook page, but you're subscribed here, or you should be. Subscribe if you're not, so then you find out about the stuff. And then on Instagram, of course, it's pictures. I do want to figure out how to sync my Instagram to my public Facebook page and not my personal one. And I know there's a way to do it because there's a business that I used to work for who had a page, and the Instagram account would post directly to that page and not to the owner's personal account. So I don't know if I have to make my page a business page. If any of you know how to do that to a page, not to a personal account, please let me know, because right now I can't figure it out. And that would help a lot because I post pictures on Instagram and then you'd be able to see them on my Facebook page. But I am there. You can message me there if you have a Facebook account. You can message me on facebook.com/cutewitch772. I don't always get back to it right away. I maybe have 1 or 2 days in a month that I have time to sit and respond to those messages, but I do read them and I respond to them as I am able. And if you love what I do on YouTube or in my blog, or which I'll be doing more of in the future, in general, if you love the stuff that I do and you want to support it and are able currently to support it, check out patreon.com/cutewitch772. That is where you can pledge to sponsor my videos and my other stuff, my work that I do online, and you get some exclusive content rewards. And also, they've updated stuff in Patreon lately, so I have to look at that again and see what other stuff I can do because they've changed some things around. So my goals are going to be updated, the rewards are going to be updated, so don't get too attached to what they say right now. Just go check it out, familiarize yourself with it if you do not know about it already. And yeah, if you love what I do, that's one way that you can support. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time, and until then, don't forget that you're awesome because you watch half-hour-long videos. Don't forget to continue being awesome. Blessed be, and goodbye.